even seen you. I even saw you correct Jim Acosta. It was over when everyone gave their speeches on the shutdown.
Day?
No,
maybe we should have Jim Acosta on the show and let him speak for himself.
He's more than welcome to come on the show.
And I would love that.
I think at times the media is so obsessed with getting the president out of the White House. Some people in the media, not everybody, that it actually helps the president's cause and it further motivates his base and could potentially help him win in 2020. I wanted your take on that.
I don't know about that, but I think that I think people deserve much more credit in this country than they get.
He had to have known.
And isn't that why people hire lawyers, so it can be sort of that person in between the crimes that are possibly being committed? And so it's the lawyer that then gets in trouble, not the person?
Well, no, you don't hire a lawyer so the lawyer can commit crimes on your behalf.
No, I'm just saying if in Trump's
I don't think
case,
that's what she said.
that's not what I'm saying, just to be clear.
She's not stupid, that's not what she said.
No, I'm just saying oftentimes if you are, I think it sounds crazy to anyone who is thinking about someone that's in prison for committing heinous crimes. And when you commit a crime, usually certain rights are taken from you. And I'm all for when you get out of prison.
That's what you're in jail for, though.
That's what you're in jail for. Me and Megan and I, you've been through far more than I have, but I've been through these town halls too. And that's why they matter, because they get to make that judgment call. They get to talk to them one-on-one. We weren't there, so let them make the judgment. For me, it was like an SNL skit. Everyone played their roles.
But
it didn't move. Bernie looked like he crawled out of a garbage can last night.
Buttigieg.
What if it's not an open house?
But it was an open house.
But what if it wasn't? And a pen, and halfway through we were sitting down and talking, and I was taking notes, and I looked down, and I sat on the blue pen, and it exploded on the entire couch.
Well, and that's different. You should pay for that.
But that happens.
I mean, some of these people who are denying climate change, they're going to be dead. And they don't care, apparently, about their grandchildren. They only care about their 401ks. And this kid is calling them on it. And it's disgusting.
I don't think that's fair to say. They don't care about their own grandkids. I don't think.
That's what it looks like to me.
Well, this is
That's what it looks like.
Do you motivate people by saying we got to better the environment, or do you motivate them by saying, you know what, people are going to die in 10 years anyway. You know what, just stop having all kids. Let's just think about not having kids anymore. Is that the way to get people to move forward? Because I can tell you what...
Is that what she said?
No, well, you have had people like AOC question that.
Right, but that's not what Greta said.
No, I'm talking bigger picture about the conversation on climate change.
So wait a minute. So should we also go along with China and just keep polluting? But
you're going to the other extreme. No, but this other on this.
But we have to do something, right? And my concern is that we're not doing enough.
Guilt tripping might work.
We're all going to be killed off.
It might.
Well, I agree with Joy in the sense
that grandparents don't love their grandchildren.
Kids are so
do you understand
fearless.
how that sounds to people when they want to have a rational conversation about climate change? And you say, you know what, your grandparents, you don't love your grandchildren enough.
Well, I don't know
think that's
about
a productive way
I stand
for us
by that.
to move.
I stand by it.
So I've been, as you guys know, I've been weary about this from the time it was trickling out last week because, one, we didn't have all the facts. Media doesn't always get it right, and it was the same Democrats that have been calling for impeachment since before he even got in office. So I was like, let's just take a breath. The more I'm learning about this, and I think other people are learning about it, this is really alarming.
Yeah.
And, well, now we have more of the facts. And I think as a country, we should take a step back again and say, what should our president do that we should be proud of? Is this something that we say we should stand by?
That's what he should do. He's just got it.
Why has the RNC, when there's so much anger about the president, there seems so many people who just want him out, why is the RNC raised more than 6.5 times the amount?
Because they want to
the
save
DNC,
power.
Because money speaks. Money speaks more than people just
because
talking.
It's power before country.
Yeah, and that's
because
the problem.
It's power before country.
Because part of the problem is that...
I feel like I'm alone on this, but I call them like the silent majority out there. As AOC calls us, we're meh. Nah, but we actually believe very strongly in our beliefs. And can I point out, there is a difference, Sonny, in being a whistleblower and being a straight-up hacker. And what we found out with Assange is he conspired with Russia to meddle in our 2016 election.
So it was him.
If that is not committing a crime, I don't know what that is.
I think
So to say that's under the freedom of speech, I can't get... Here's what I would tell you.
Let her do it.
The Obama administration... this happened in 2010 is what you're talking about,
My dad was ambassador to China at the time I was living there, and I remember it was so awful for the embassy because spies that were working over there, their names were released and put out to the public, and that puts their lives at risk.
In 2010...
would just say we get so focused on what the headline is that day, and I think what I'm trying to say is the bigger picture. My guess is
I'm not
saying she gets a
I would
pass.
never
but
give her a pass.
I'm not giving her a pass, but of all the things I was saying of Democrats that could be
You're
focused
saying
on
this is
right
not
now.
that important.
I just said the greatest.
This is a matter of national
Sonny,
security.
I just said the greatest threat.
So you might be in too
my
much
point
time
is,
watching
like,
it.
But he doesn't sleep a lot.
my point is that why is where are we surprised? He's been tweeting cable news since before he got into office.
5 hours seems excessive even by his
But
standards.
again, we're not in the Oval Office for those 5 hours,
Well, but
knowing exactly
you know
what's
what
going
we can
on.
agree on, all of us? That the that the fact that
And so if you're thinking about 2020 and what sort of message am I going to bring that's different to the table and try and get those independent voters, even people that voted for Trump, I can't be a socialist. I can't be out there so far left that's not going to attract any of those middle people. So she was very smart to go that direction.
I have to say-
what she really thinks, I think, is different than what she said there.
Yeah, but I have to say the word socialist is now becoming a buzzword like liberal and feminist, where the right wing is now taking that word and distorting it. So every time you use it, I'm going to interrupt you.
But how is it what
I don't distort it.
Ocasio-Cortez is saying?
Yeah.
you only worry about this for your child if you think your child has these tendencies. If your child is not someone who's assaulting people, it shouldn't be a concern
Not
for you.
necessarily, though, right? Isn't that the point in a not tactful way he was trying to make? And what I think a lot of people are concerned about today is you could be accused when you've been raised the right way, when you did nothing in that situation. We have countless examples where that has happened.
Really? Like who?
Well, like the Duke lacrosse players, for example.
Oh, that's one.
But I grew up, I knew stories of that happening. She didn't accuse, Dr. Ford didn't accuse him of rape, though.
No,
Right?
It's attempt rape.
but
Yes, it's
but-
attempt rape. That's what she's accusing
That's
him
what
of.
she's saying. And to this
Yes.
point, we still don't have hard evidence on either
Well,
side.
and you're not
everyone
going to have.
thought
You're
she
not
was-
going to have it. You're
You're
not
not.
going to have hard evidence.
Jennifer Lopez and Shakira announced that they're playing the next Super Bowl halftime show. So anyway, it sparked a debate on social media about whether they're turning their backs on serious issues the NFL is dealing with, like take a knee protests, for example, the Colin Kaepernick issue. So should they perform or not?
I'm sorry, are there people saying they shouldn't perform?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moderate is not a stance, it's just an attitude toward life of like, we've become so cynical that we view meh or we view cynicism as an intellectually superior attitude.
Really?
Not
That
everything she
sounds a lot
says
like
does.
Trump to me.
Well, I mean, not
That
everything.
sounds a lot like Trump, but on the left. I think we need more of what Bill Clinton did in the 90s in passing a
Which
budget,
part sounds
working
like
with
Trump
moderate
to you?
Republicans, and less of talk like this.
Which part sounds like Trump?
Moderates, meh. We just need to go to the extreme ends of things.
Well,
so Republicans are to blame for the things that she said last week, and when she said that the country is 10% away from garbage. You know what I thought about when she
What
said
does
that?
that mean?
I thought, just listen to it. She said that we are basically as close as you can possibly get to being garbage. I thought about that World War II veteran that we had in our audience a few weeks ago. The sacrifices he's made
It's not
for
calling
us.
him garbage.
But I'm telling
Don't
you,
go there.
I'm telling you what I thought in
Yeah.
that moment, and that's
Well,
what this
that's
table's
you.
about. We all have views. I thought about the ability for us to sit here and do what we do. Do you think that he feels that this country is 10% away from being garbage? You know, I think the Democratic Party should use her as their spokesperson. They should make her ideas the platform. She is the greatest gift to Republicans, just how Trump has been
Okay,
to the
can I
Democrats.
just
I
say
am
one
looking
thing?
for a lot of voices, and there should be room for
I gotta
very
go.
big
Again, if
ideas.
this is your message, capitalism is irredeemable. You want to compare FDR to racism. You want to talk about this country being 10% away from garbage. By all means, if that's where the Democrats are going to go, and it's
no
clear
one's
that's
saying
where
the
they're
Democrats are there.
The
And
other
it's
She
like
has one of the biggest followings
We
in the
need
Democratic
that
Party
quote
right
in
now.
context, actually. I'd like that quote in context.
Okay, we're gonna-
Just one thing. When we talked about AOC and the quote that she talked about 10% better than garbage, she was discussing, to put it in context, she was discussing about civil rights and people of color. And what she said altogether was, I think all of these things sound radical compared to where we are in terms of the rights of minorities. But where we are is not a good thing. And this idea of like 10% better than garbage, it shouldn't be what we settle for. So that's very different
But again,
than saying that the United States...
Again, you know what?
Right.
again,
You know?
if this is the rhetoric that the left wants to have, by all means, I can
I
tell
do
you.
want
Then that's
civil
fine, but
rights
you
for
know what?
people of color. I think
But
that we're in a
everyone
very
wants
bad
that.
place.
Everyone
in this
wants
country.
that. Everyone wants that.
Yeah.
But I think
Not everyone wants that,
the
Abby.
core of this country at its heart, take Trump out of it, is good. Because
agree.
I talked to my brother this morning who's in Guam, and he always puts it in perspective for me of how he feels about Americans. And he's out there fighting for us. I anchored a show with Tucker. I sat at a table just like I do with you ladies. And this is so different than the Tucker that I know. Anyone that's worked closely with him, like, he was so supportive of my career and wanted me to succeed. He's also a big proponent of marriage and families. That is probably the biggest thing for him. But he was always great to anyone he worked with, people of different backgrounds, immigrants. He loved helping them out. So if you know Tucker personally, you would say he has a heart of gold.
I don't see what good that is when
seeing-
he's promoting this bad stuff to millions of people.
I'm just saying it goes against the person that I know. But Sonny, you said you had friends that didn't want to marry men
Yeah.
that made less than them.
I mean, I have had friends that, you know, make a lot of money and don't necessarily want a guy that isn't ambitious and that don't make a lot of money.
How can you be a feminist?
But when I
No,
If
that's
you
not what
want to
he was-
get here,
I don't think you were saying that, were you, Abby? When you
No.
said
No, I was
No.
saying,
Oh.
how can you be a feminist and not want to marry someone that makes less than you? Because if you're a feminist, you're promoting women doing better and being more successful financially. And so any woman that's going to come out and say, I'm a feminist, say, but I won't marry someone who makes less than me, then what are you trying to do? Right? We should all support everybody doing well.
I don't know that a feminist would say that.
well, that's what I
Yeah.
that's what I said.
Yeah.
no,
A real feminist would
I'm just
not
saying,
have
you
that
mentioned
position.
having friends that you knew that wouldn't want to marry someone that
She didn't say they were
financially.
feminists, though.
Those are
No,
bougie
I'm just
girls.
saying.